For years, I quietly took care of my family's mortgage through a company I set up called Unlimited Liability Company. They never knew it was me behind those payments. But when they turned against me and tried to destroy my name, I took the house back legally and without a second thought. Everything shifted the moment my Uncle Marcus sent me that video. It was like the ground beneath me gave out. There, in our old kitchen back in Phoenix, sat my parents and my brother Ethan, chatting like I was nothing but some deadweight they had to carry. That familiar Arizona sunlight spilled through the window, casting this golden glow that felt cruel, considering how cold their words were. "She only helps out because she owes us," my mother said, her tone sharp and bitter. "And after all we've done for her, covering the mortgage is the least she could do," Ethan added with this smug little smirk on his face. "Yeah," he kept going, "and she acts like she's doing us some huge favor." The worst part? My dad just nodded. No pushback, no defense, just silent agreement. This was the same man who taught me to ride a bike and who used to help me with my math homework. Now he just sat there, letting them tear into me like I wasn't even worth defending. The video was a bit shaky, probably filmed without them knowing, but their voices came through loud and clear. I watched it 3 times in a row. With each replay, I felt this strange mix of emptiness and sudden clarity. For the past 4 years, I had been paying most of their mortgage, over $300,000 in total, through my LLC, Divine Investments. They thought they were sending their payments to some faceless bank. They never even read the fine print, never noticed that the agreement, carefully crafted with my financial advisor, had my company's name on it. Every month, they'd send in a small payment, and I'd quietly cover the rest. Meanwhile, they complained about how little I was doing to help. Right after I watched the video, Uncle Marcus sent me a message. "You needed to see this, Sierra." That was the tipping point. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I sat at my desk, staring at spreadsheet after spreadsheet that documented every dollar I'd sent their way. Over $300,000. Not a cent late. Not a single thank you. My hands didn't even shake. I felt calm, too calm. I pulled up the mortgage agreement, and there it was, clear as day. The purchase option clause. Jenna, my financial advisor, had insisted we include it, just in case, she'd said. Back then, I hadn't thought much of it. Now, it felt like she'd known this day might come. The next payment was coming up fast. And for the first time, I wasn't going to make it. I picked up my phone and texted Uncle Marcus. "Thanks for showing me the truth. Don't worry, I won't say it came from you. But things are about to change." I had always been the one to catch them when they fell. They'd never admit it, but I was the safety net. For years ago, the Phoenix housing market crashed, and they were hanging on by a thread. I stepped in. I was only 28 at the time, already a manager in software development, making good money. Funny thing? They never supported my career. They wanted me to take over Dad's struggling real estate business instead. "Software isn't a real job for a woman," Mom used to say, practically spitting the words. "Your brother Ethan is the one with real business sense." Yeah, well, Ethan and his business sense nearly sank the whole family business in under 2 years. When the mortgage crisis hit, I talked to Jenna, and she came up with a plan. We formed Divine Investments LLC and bought the house under it. To them, it looked like they were just paying a regular bank. It let me protect myself legally while still helping them out, and it preserved their pride. At the time, it felt like the perfect solution. They kept their dignity. I kept them afloat. Only Uncle Marcus ever knew the truth. He'd overheard Jenna and me at a family event. "You're too good to them, Sierra," he'd said. "They don't deserve that kind of grace." But I defended them. They were my family. Sure, they didn't always get me, but they gave me a home, right? They tried. Or so I believed. Watching that video a 4th time, I realized how wrong I'd been. Their words echoed in my head. "She owes us. What a joke. The least she can do." Each line cut deeper than the last. I opened up the LLC's online account. The next mortgage payment was due in a few days. They'd always sent their part like clockwork, but I'd always covered the rest. Not anymore. This time, they could deal with the consequences. Let them call the bank and figure it out. Let them find out who really owns that house. Their so-called burden of a daughter? Yeah, she's been their landlord all along. That thought actually made me smile. Sometimes karma just needs a little nudge. And the hits kept coming. The next day, Uncle Marcus sent more receipts, literally. Screenshots from a family group chat I hadn't even known existed. They'd named it in family finances. Real subtle. Each message felt like another knife to the back. Ethan had written, "Sierra thinks she's so special with her tech job." Then he added, "She barely helps with the mortgage, and I'm the one here running Dad's business every day." But it was my mom's reply that really did me in. We should ask her for more money. She's single, no kids. What else does she even spend it on? We sacrificed everything to raise her. She can't even help her family properly. And just like that, any remaining doubt I had disappeared. I opened up my financial records, my hands trembling just slightly as I ran the final numbers. Over the last 4 years, I had funneled exactly $265,382 into their mortgage through divine investments, while they had only contributed $62,800. Month after month, they thought they were handling it themselves, clueless that I was silently covering an extra $6,100 every single time. Right then, my phone lit up with a text from my mother. "Sweetie, could you come to dinner this Sunday? We need to discuss something important." I didn't need to guess what the important thing was. They were going to ask for more money, probably with a full spread of guilt and emotional manipulation on the side. The idea of sitting across from them, pretending I didn't know how they truly felt about me, made my stomach churn. So I called Jenna, my financial advisor. "I need to talk through my options with the purchase agreement," I said. There was no hesitation in her voice. "I had a feeling you'd be calling," she said, not even sounding the least bit surprised. "Remember that clause we put in? If they miss even one payment, Divine Investments has the right to execute the purchase option immediately. You'd own the house outright. From there, they'd be considered month-to-month tenants. And if they didn't pay rent? Well," she said, pausing for effect, "you'd be within your rights under Arizona law to serve notice and begin eviction." Then she got quiet for a second. "Sierra, are you absolutely sure you want to go through with this?" I thought about every sarcastic remark, every backhanded compliment, every time they treated me like the family ATM while praising Ethan for his brilliant business mind, even though he nearly bankrupted Dad's company. I thought about how they dismissed my entire career like it was a cute hobby. "Yes," I said, my voice steady and clear. "But I'm not saying anything yet. Let them believe everything's still normal." I texted my mother back. "Of course I'll come to dinner. Looking forward to it, red heart." The heart emoji almost made me laugh. Felt like poetic irony. Because if there was one thing they'd taught me well, it was how to play pretend. Sometimes, the best kind of revenge is quiet, patient, and delivered with a smile. That next mortgage payment was just around the corner. And for the first time since this whole arrangement began, I wasn't going to be there to bail them out. Dinner on Sunday was a masterclass in self-control. I pulled up to their house, my house, technically, as the sun dipped low over the Phoenix desert, lighting everything in rich hues of gold and violet. The place looked exactly the same as it had for the last 20 years. The smell of my mom's lasagna hit me as I walked in her signature comfort dish. I knew it wasn't random. That meal was a calculated move, meant to wrap me in nostalgia and lower my guard. "Lindsay, sweetheart," my mom beamed, rushing to hug me. Her bracelet flashed in the light, new, expensive looking, probably paid for with money that should have gone to the mortgage. Ethan was already seated at the table, looking like a smug LinkedIn profile pic in his button-down shirt. "Hey sis," he said, full of fake warmth. "Nice of you to make time for the fam." I smiled, thinking about his little group chat rant, how I barely helped. If only he knew. His whole life was propped up by my generosity. I always make time for family, I said, the sarcasm sticking in my throat. Dad walked in next, glasses on, flipping through a few papers. I caught a glimpse, bank statements. That nearly made me laugh. They were prepping their pitch like it was a job interview. Before dinner could even begin, Mom placed the lasagna on the table and started in. We wanted to talk about something important, she said, glancing at Dad, who gave her a go-ahead nod. Of course, I said, calmly dishing myself a portion. What's up? Ethan cleared his throat like he was about to present at a board meeting. Well, as you probably know, Dad's business has hit some bumps. The market's just not what it used to be. I chewed slowly. Funny, because Phoenix real estate was booming, just not under Ethan's watch. That business had been a sinking ship ever since he took the helm. We've been thinking, my mother added, reaching across the table to gently touch my hand, about how blessed we are to have such a successful daughter. Your father and I gave up so much to help you get where you are today. I watched her performance with a whole new lens. The soft tone, the parental sacrifice card, it was all rehearsed. And, well, the mortgage has become more of a burden lately, my dad chimed in, using that paternal voice that always used to make me feel like a little girl asking for permission. And with you doing so well in your computer work, he added. Software development, I corrected instinctively. They'd never really made an effort to get it right. Right, he said, waving it off like it didn't matter. Anyway, we thought maybe you could help more. With the monthly payments. Mom jumped in, eager to close the deal. An extra $3,000 a month, maybe? It's not that much for someone with your salary. I took another bite of lasagna. I needed a second to keep my expression in check. They wanted $2,000 more, without realizing I was already covering $6,100 every single month. The sheer nerve would have been impressive, if it weren't so infuriating. I finally looked up and said calmly, times are kind of uncertain right now. Ethan scoffed like he couldn't help himself. Uncertain? Come on. We all know you're doing fine. Some of us are actually busting our ass to keep this family going. I smiled again, thinking about the alert that would hit their inbox in a few days. The one that would explain what happens when you miss a mortgage payment. You're right, Ethan, I said, lifting my glass slightly. Sometimes, people do get exactly what they deserve. After dinner, I excused myself to go to the bathroom, but I took a slow, deliberate walk past my dad's study. The door was cracked open. Inside, I heard them whispering Mom, Dad, Ethan, all talking in hushed tones like I was some stranger in their house. My heart pounded in my chest as I leaned in just enough to hear the first few words. She's not going to help, Ethan snapped, his voice laced with bitterness. Did you see how she just sat there at dinner? Acting all high and mighty with her tech job while we're over here trying to keep the family business alive. Patience, my dad said calmly. We have other options. Remember those investment files I found in her cloud account last month? She was using our Wi-Fi, must have synced her stuff without realizing. My heart nearly stopped. So they had snooped. During my last visit, I had carelessly connected to their Wi-Fi without a VPN. My cloud storage must have synced in the background, and they'd gone through it. In DC, I looked it up, my dad went on. It's a real LLC. Divine Investments. Doing quite well, from the looks of it. She's been stashing money away there instead of helping her family. And we raised a snake, my mother chimed in, her voice sharp and cold. We'll give her one last chance to cooperate, she added. If not, I'll remind her about that little incident back in college when she took money from your business account for tuition. She thought we didn't know. But we kept proof. That'll get her in line. I had to physically bite my lip to stop from laughing out loud. That incident? I'd borrowed the money with Dad's explicit permission after one of their tuition checks bounced. I'd paid it back a month later with interest, and I still had the email receipts to prove it. Their attempt at blackmail wasn't just sad, it was insulting. But Ethan wasn't done. And if that doesn't work, he added, we could always reach out to her HR department. Ask a few questions, Maybe imply she's been acting unstable. Say she's using company resources for her little side gigs. That would raise some red flags. The casual way he suggested nuking my entire career sent a wave of ice down my spine. These weren't just hurtful relatives, they were opportunistic leeches, dressed in family skin. I slipped away quietly, headed back to the bathroom like nothing had happened. Flushed the toilet to sell the act, then returned to the table with my best, unbothered face. They followed soon after, all wearing the same sugary sweet smiles like we hadn't just changed genres from family dinner to cold-blooded coup. "Sierra, dear," my mom cooed, "have you thought more about helping with the mortgage?" I met her gaze head-on. "I have," I said, cool and calm. "You're right, family should look out for each other. I'll have an answer for you in about 8 days. That number wasn't random. Their mortgage payment was due in exactly 8 days. And when they missed it, Divine Investments would drop the curtain. 8 days? Ethan raised an eyebrow. Why so specific? I stood, slipping my purse strap over my shoulder. Just need to double-check a few things with my financial advisor. You know, careful money management and all that. I gave him a smile. It's good business sense. I saw the flicker of confusion cross his face as I echoed one of their favorite lines. Mom walked me to the door, arms open for another carefully calculated hug. "We knew you'd understand. Sweetheart," she murmured. "Family always comes first." "Yes," I replied softly. "Family always gets exactly what they deserve." As I drove home that night, I called Uncle Marcus. "You were right about them," I said as soon as he answered. "But don't worry. I'm done playing the silent partner in their little drama. It's time for the final act." That week crawled by like it was dragging chains. Every day, another text would come in from someone in the family, each message dressed in urgency, pleading for help with their situation. They had no idea how much each one only fueled my resolve. I forwarded them all to Jenna. "They're ramping up," I said at our next meeting. She nodded, calm as ever. "The paperwork's ready. Once they miss the payment, we can move forward immediately. The option clause lets Divine Investments take ownership without delay. I've also drafted the eviction notices, just in case." I flipped through the documents. "You're sure this is airtight?" I asked. "They can't fight it?" "They signed everything 4 years ago," Jenna replied. "Your dad barely skimmed the agreement. He was desperate. It's all legally sound." That night, Ethan fired off one more shot across the bow. "Hey sis," his message read. "Was just chatting with a friend in tech recruiting. Heard layoffs are coming. Must be rough, huh? Good thing you've got family to fall back on winking base. Speaking of which, about that extra help." The attempt at manipulation was so thin, it was practically see-through. I showed the message to Uncle Marcus over coffee the next morning. "They never change," he said, shaking his head. "Your aunt and I saw it years ago. That's why we pulled away. Did I ever tell you they went through my stuff once too?" "They did the same to my cousin," I replied. "Always digging for leverage." He gave me a long look. "Are you ready for what comes next? Because they're not going to take this lying down." I thought about their threats, their scheming, the way they'd leaned on me for years while tearing me down behind closed doors. "I'm ready," I said. They made their choice. Now they can live with the outcome. 2 days before the payment was due, my phone lit up again, Mom this time. "Sierra, we need to know if you're going to help with the mortgage. Things are really tight, and you know how important it is that family supports each other." I took a deep breath. "Don't worry, Mom," I said, my voice calm and even. "Everything's going to be crystal clear very soon." That night, an email arrived from the bank. Their payment to Divine Investments had failed, account overdrawn. I forwarded the alert to Jenna. "Here we go," she replied. "Want me to start the proceedings in the morning?" I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen. My mind flashed to that dinner table, the smug faces, the fake concern, the smug threats. Years of silent sacrifices. Years of being treated like an outsider. Like I owed them everything. "Yes," I typed back. "Let's begin." "No," I typed back to Jenna. Let's wait until the payment actually fails. Let them enjoy the next 2 days thinking everything's perfectly fine. They were the ones who taught me the power of timing, after all. Might as well put that lesson to good use. I opened my laptop and started drafting an email to my company's HR department. I laid out everything: my family's threats, the attempt at blackmail, the invasion of my privacy. I attached screenshots and the video Uncle Marcus had recorded, just in case. If they tried to come after me professionally, I wanted to make sure my bases were already covered. Sometimes I muttered under my breath, the best revenge is just letting people deal with the consequences of their own choices. The deadline came and went. By 9 a.m. sharp, the automated system at Divine Investments fired off the default notice. I stared at my phone, watching the seconds tick by, waiting for the inevitable fallout. It didn't take long. Exactly 12 minutes later, the screen lit up. Mom calling. I answered. Sierra, she said, her voice high-pitched and panicked. Something's wrong with the mortgage. The bank's saying we defaulted, but that doesn't make any sense. You have to help us. This is serious. I kept my voice calm. Actually, Divine Investments isn't a bank. It's an LLC. My LLC, to be exact. There was a long, stunned silence on the other end. I could practically hear the gears grinding in her head. What? She finally whispered. Check your email, I said evenly. You'll find a formal notice. Since you defaulted, Divine Investments is exercising its purchase option. Legally, the house is now mine. As of today, you're considered month-to-month tenants. This has to be a joke, she stammered. No joke, Mom. I've been paying most of your mortgage for 4 years. While you sat around calling me a burden. While you schemed to blackmail me. While you plotted to destroy my career. I paused, then added, Uncle Marcus showed me the video. He showed me everything. There was more silence, then suddenly my dad's voice broke and guess they'd put me on speaker. She's ungrateful, he snapped. Careful, I said sharply. Is that really how you want to speak to your landlord? I already have the eviction notice drawn up. Don't push me to file it sooner. And with that, I hung up. Blocked all their numbers. Within minutes, the emails started pouring in. Distant cousins, old family friends, people I hadn't heard from in years, suddenly had a lot to say. Accusing me of being cold, selfish, cruel. Telling me that family forgives. I deleted every single one without opening them. Some debts can't be settled with forgiveness. Some bridges are better off burned. 3 months later, I stood in the now empty house, the sound of my footsteps echoing off the bare walls. They had moved out the week before, finally giving up after trying every trick in the book, threats, guilt, even a few half-hearted legal challenges. But the documents were airtight. The signatures were real. They had no leg to stand on. In the end, reality left them no room to negotiate. Ethan, ever the opportunist, had tried his best to sabotage me. He contacted my company's HR, just like he'd threatened to do, claiming I was unstable, hinting that I might be using company property for personal gain. But thanks to my earlier email and the supporting evidence from Uncle Marcus, HR had shut it down immediately. And instead, Ethan found himself under investigation by his own real estate board. His ethical violations caught up with him fast. His license was suspended within weeks. His career? Over. My mother made one final play, a voicemail so soaked in tears I had to replay it twice to even understand what she was saying. How could you do this to your own family? She wept. The answer was simple. They had shown me, over and over again, exactly what family meant to them. And this time, I finally believed them. I walked into the kitchen, the place where it had all started. The table was gone now, but I could still see them sitting there in my mind, laughing, criticizing, judging, dismissing me as a burden while I quietly covered their bills. The irony was thick. Uncle Marcus and his wife were due to arrive later that afternoon to help prep the house for sale. The plan was to use the proceeds to start something meaningful, a foundation dedicated to supporting people who've been financially manipulated or exploited by those closest to them. Something good from something bitter. As I stood in the hallway, soaking in the last few moments inside, my phone buzzed with a message from Jenna. Just heard from their lawyer. They signed the final documents. It's officially over. I smiled and looked around at the empty space one last time. This house had been filled with so much history, some good, but a lot of pain. They always told me family comes first. What they never clarified was which family. So I made a choice. I chose me. And for the first time in a long time, that choice felt exactly, perfectly right.